This is Lauren Fogelman at ExpertSportsPerformance.com, working with highly driven, motivated athletes on being cool, calm, and confident under pressure. Today's topic is 7 biggest distractions that compete for your attention. Have you ever been in the middle of your event and recognized that you weren't really focused or paying attention whatsoever? Your mind was just drifting, or you were thinking about something that just happened that you can't do anything about whatsoever, but you're really worried about how you're going to catch up and recover from that mistake? Happens to us all the time. You're not alone. Actually, there's 2 different types of distractions. The first one is external distractions. It could be the weather, could be a delay, might have to do with your equipment, or the people in the crowd. Those are all external distractions because they're outside of you. The internal ones, the ones within, have to do with your thoughts, have to do with how you're responding to those external distractions, how you perceive things, maybe based upon a previous experience and you're trying to avoid doing something that you did before that just didn't work out like you wanted it to. Anything that's going on in your head is an internal distraction. So 2 types, external and internal one. The bottom line is anything that's going to distract you is actually an internal one. Even the stuff happening outside of you, whether it's the weather or a delayed start or the noise from a crowd, it's more of how you're perceiving it, how you're letting that get under your skin or bother you in some way, that makes it a distraction, because there's other people in the same exact experience and event as you are, but they're not having that same response as you. That's why it's internal. I want to go through the 7 top distractions that athletes face right now. The first one has to do with the critic. It's the inner critic, the way that you just beat up on yourself when you make a mistake, or that you're not going as fast as you think you are, or maybe your splits are off. Those are the critical things that happen, the self-talk that really just takes away from your energy. It just grinds you down. Now, the way to be able to work through that is to be able to acknowledge that you're having that thought and then let it go. Put it behind you. Easier said than done. Takes practice, but you can do it. Like I said, it's going to take practice to be able to acknowledge your thought and then let it go if you've been letting those critical thoughts really guide and direct you for a long, long time, but it is possible. The next one has to do with the clock. How often is your competition about trying to beat the clock, trying to race against the clock, get in that last burst before the clock, anything having to do with time? Now, the thing is that you have no control over time whatsoever. It's something outside of your control. So what you really want to do, the strategy here, you want to focus on what's within your control. And it's only 2 things. 2 things. It's your actions, the things that you do, and your attitude, how you respond to it. And I hope that you are able to really pull together your attitude and have the best possible response possible, because the better your attitude, the more energy you're going to be able to make for yourself and really focus on your performance. After that, connection. Now, this is similar to the clock, where connection is, once again, something outside of your control. It has to do with your history, so things that you've done previously that you bring to this particular event, and how you really experience things. So have you had a previous experience that didn't go as you expected, and you're trying to avoid having it happen again? Now, that's one way to use your experience, is to try to avoid things. But what I'd rather you do is to acknowledge what didn't go well and get the insight. So you have a choice with your experiences. You can either use them for avoidance, which once again is energy draining, or you can use them for insights. How would you like to do it differently, which is an energy booster? because it gives you so much more information. Now, here's the mindset tip for that one. Instead of focusing on the problem and what you're trying to avoid, I want you to put your focus on what's ahead of you and you're trying to accomplish and achieve. After connection, confidence. This one's a little bit different than what you might expect. This one has to do with big egos. The athletes that have really big egos, they think they're so great and nobody can touch them. It's usually that false bravado, that seeming like they're better than everybody and they're untouchable, is a cover-up for low confidence. Really, big egos are cover-up for lack of self-esteem. They need other people to reflect back to them how important they are. That's because they don't feel that within themselves. It's kind of empty in the confidence arena. So when that happens, the athletes that have these really big egos, they make mistakes. And eventually, they're going to make a really big one and mess up in a really huge way. You look through history, you see it over and over and over again. So what I want you to do here is your mindset tip, is to, when you have a win, acknowledge the win, but without boasting. But it's okay to acknowledge the win. And then once you do, focus on that next milestone that you're working towards. Go for that next challenge. So acknowledge the win. That's good. Don't do any boasting, no bragging in that way where you're making someone else feel less than, or you're looking at how great am I. But just acknowledge it because you worked hard and you deserve it. And then focus on the next challenge. So that's confidence. Next one is compulsion. Compulsion is addictions. See, people addicted to alcohol and drugs, those are most common ones, but people get addicted to their sports because I'm sure that you know some people, when they miss a day of practice, they just go all to pieces. They're irritable, they're impatient, they just kind of beat up on themselves from missing that day. They just don't feel right. They actually go through withdrawals. Here's the mindset strategy. Everything is about moderation. But if you feel that you have that problem and you might be addicted to your sport or alcohol or drugs and it's interfering with your performance, whatever it is, then the way to recognize it is that when you're doing it, when you're in the moment doing that activity, it feels really right and good, especially in the beginning, but in the long run, it causes problems in other parts of your life. If that's the case, reach out and talk to me. I can help you with that. After compulsion, count. The count is when you're so focused on your score, either that you're ahead of everybody else and you're in a really great position, or you made a mistake, you're behind, and you're trying really hard to really catch up and get to where you expect to be. Either way, when you focus on the score, you're not in the present moment. So many athletes get caught up on their score that they end up choking. They lose their position, or they can't keep their head in the game, and then they miss out on opportunities. So the mindset strategy here is to, once again, similar to the clock, focus on the two things within your control, your attitude and your actions. When you focus on your attitude and your actions, the score is going to happen just like you expect. Finally, checking out. Okay, there's some fun things that you do during practice that you love to do, and then there's either the really tough stuff, which is challenging, or the boring drills. And there are boring drills. In order to really make the most of this, though, checking out doesn't work for you. It doesn't really help you to get the benefits out of your practice. And if you're going to put the time into practicing and the effort and the energy, I want you to have activities that are going to help to improve you every single time you practice. And it's possible to do that. So here's the mindset strategy. I want you to have high quality practice. It means you're really focused on what you're doing and paying attention and constantly making corrections, because you're going to have more gains when you're checked in than when you're checked out. Paying attention is a good thing when you're practicing as well as when you're in your event. Here's how to overcome distractions. It's by adding in the mental game training to really keep you present and focused and know how to overcome those distractions when they happen. The thing that I'm talking about here primarily is about your focus. Now, if you really have a small attention span, you can't expect to be focused and tuned in for a long amount of time, but it's just like training a new muscle. You start out small and you build up over time. You just get more endurance as you do it longer and longer. And that's how you can improve your focus as well, is by starting out with small chunks and just building it up over and over time. Consistent practice is going to get you that return on your investment of your time and just practicing it over and over again. The way to really do that is to be able to find a way to improve your focus, and I'm going to give you the challenge in a moment that'll give you a tip on how to do that you can practice and try out. It'll help to really build your confidence because you're going to notice that you checked in a lot more, and when the distractions do happen, you're going to have the tools to be able to refocus. So this is what I want you to do as far as your challenge. I want you to get in a quiet, comfortable place. This is something to do when you're not practicing, but get into a quiet, comfortable place. No phone, no iPads, no iPods, all the technology, just put it aside. You have your comfortable place. Then once you're settled, I want you to pick a spot. Maybe it's a picture, maybe it's a piece of furniture, looking out the window, a spot on the wall, whatever it is for you, but pick a spot and just focus on it for 5 seconds. And during that 5 seconds, try not to have any thoughts. You want to just be able to focus on that thing, really focused and being very present without having any thoughts. 5 seconds might be a long time to go without a thought in the beginning. But the goal is to work up for a full minute without having any thoughts. And that's a really tough thing to do, but it's possible. And if thoughts come on, you just kind of acknowledge that they're there and then let them go on the wayside. Let them meander down the path, once again, out of your stream of consciousness. So that's the challenge for you, is to improve your focus by finding a really comfortable place, finding something that you want to be able to look at or focus on, being able to focus for 5 seconds at a time without any distracting thoughts, and being able to build it up to a full minute. The full minute, remember, is going to feel like a marathon. It's going to feel like a really long time, but it is possible. And if you do this, it's going to help transfer over into your performance, and you'll see so many different gains. And just think of how things will be different if you know how to respond to distractions and be able to quickly refocus. What I'd love to hear from you is the takeaways that you took from this video training. How good is your attention span? What do you use to help improve your focus or to refocus once you realize that you've been distracted? Go ahead and post a comment. Let me know what you've taken away from it. Click the likes button to be able to pass this forward. If you're interested in my free video training series, 7 Essential Steps to High Performance, go to my website, expertsportsperformance.com. Put your name and email address in the boxes on the upper right-hand side. You get the first video immediately of the video training series. I look forward to hearing from you. Please post a comment, click the likes button. My focus and my mission is to show you how to stay cool when the heat is on. Lauren Fogelman, expertsportsperformance.com.